As a Scrum Master, what are the different metrics you utilize to measure the performance of your team? Hello, welcome to the Scrum chat room with Dr. Francis Simbunya. I know this is a question you're getting in and out when you go for your interview. And how do you respond to this question? What is the most appropriate way to respond to this question? Anyway, there is no right way, but there is a better way to do that. Hello, and if you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button, like, share. We kind of get it, really break it down, make it in such a way that you can understand the practicality. What is the right way to say? What is the better way to say? And as you already know, one of the things I kind of always share with you is that no two Scrum environment are the same. So you have that flexibility to create your own world in relation to what the Scrum Guide actually say. So how will I respond to the question as a Scrum Master? What are the different metrics you use to evaluate the performance of your team? All right, thank you very much for that question. It's a very important question because the key role of a Scrum Master is to enable the team to be performance. So there are a couple of things I check in order to make sure that my team is performant, in order to make sure that my team is really doing well. The first thing, I try to create a conflict-free environment, which means that I build a lot of interpersonal relationship with my team. I try to get to know them. So the first part of my evaluation is at the level of emotional intelligence, which means that if I normally have a very lively team and I come to a daily stand-up, to a retrospective, and I realize everyone is moody, that's an indication to say that, oh, there is something going on somewhere. I need to double check. Right. So that's the first way I use to evaluate how my team is doing. For instance, if my team is kind of a team that like to joke around and maybe a couple of stand up, everyone is just moody and nobody's saying hello, hi, it's an indication to tell me that, hey, there is something you need to check about your team. So that's the first level of measurement. I know you were waiting to hear the first, oh, let me talk about bend down, bend up chat. Yeah, that's important. I'm coming to that. Now, the second way in which I evaluate my team performance is first of all looking at my Jira bot or my Scrum bot, the way you can call it. If you're not using Jira, you might be using Rally or you might be using Azure DevOps. Now, the Kanban bot, which is like a Jira bot, helps you to see the progress of your team. So if I complete my sprint planning today, for instance, and I'm expecting that my developers would pick up the stories and start working on the next day. And by the next day, I see all the story are still on column one, ready for development, and none of them is in progress. That's an indication that my team is having some issue with performing, right? Because I expect them to already take responsibility, start working on those stories immediately so that they can be able to give update. And also, during the daily stand-up, let me say I have a developer and he's constantly giving update on the same thing for the next 3 days. That's an indication that I have a performance issue that I need to handle. So just by observing and just by engaging, you can already start evaluating how your team is performing. Now, on your spring report or on the report that are automatically generated when you are running your spring, one is the bend up chart, one is the second is the bend down chart, and then the velocity chart is generated at the end of the spring. Now, the velocity chart helps you to kind of evaluate how your team performance over time. Let's say that you join a team today and the velocity was, let's say, 45 over 32, right? Okay, you might be asking me, why are you using two numbers? I thought velocity was just a number. Now, when I say 45 over 32, it means that when the spring started, they committed to 45 story point. At the end of the spring, they completed just 32. So the velocity is always two numbers, right? At the end, you read two numbers. Now, before the spring, you can calculate the velocity based on the capacity, who is taking up, who is not taking up. Then you understand that, okay, two people are calling off 2 days, so this is going to be my velocity. Your velocity is based on the capacity of your team before the sprint. Now, at the end of your sprint, your velocity is not based on capacity, it's based on the work that was completed. That's why you have two numbers. We committed to this and then we finish this. So the velocity, if you want to kind of give an example on how you were able to help your team move from point A to point B, or you were able to help your team, you met your team and you were able to increase their performance, say by from 60 to 90%, what you use to evaluate if your team is doing well is your velocity. Let's say that I'm meeting a team today, a team of about 7 people, and they averagely commit to about 45 story point every spring. And then before I met the team, when they commit to 45 story point, they're only completing maybe about 27 or so, which means that their success rate will be somewhere about 60%, right? Because they're only finishing 60% of their work. Now, I step in as a Scrum Master. After about 2-3 spring of running with them, I moved that from them not only completing just about 25, I move it to them starting with 45, then completing about 44, completing about all the 45, completing about 42. I've been able to move the team from about 60% to 90% in terms of their performance. So this also goes in the built-in question when they can ask you, what has been a time where you were able to really drive your team to performance? What you use in answering that question, you use the velocity. When you meet the team, what helps you to understand how well they're doing is the velocity chart. And the velocity chart always have two bars, right? What they committed on while they're starting and what they kind of finish. But when you also look at the velocity chart, it's not just all about the number, right? You also need to understand there are some teams that at the middle of the spring they might add up work, so that might affect the velocity, and you might not really get a true picture just from reading. And which is why when you're looking at the average velocity, it has to be like an average of at least 5 different sprints that has been completed. So you know how to measure performance now using velocity. Now the bend up and the bend down chart simply show you how many stories are completed, or how close are we to the goal. Why that can also help you on the performance also. Some people argue that, especially those who are in the safe environment, they say, oh, we don't like the bend down chart because it helps you to focus so much on tasks, so we prefer the bend up chart, but that's another conversation for a different day. But a couple of things I've highlighted. Number one, just by emotional intelligence, you can be able to evaluate the performance of your team. Number two way is just by looking at the Scrum board or the Jira board or the Kanban board, you can be able to evaluate the performance of your team. The third way, which you evaluate the performance of your team using the velocity chart. The fourth way, you use the bend down or the bend up chart. That is how you evaluate the performance of your team. And all of those charts just help you to know, what do I need to do to get my team to performance. All right. I'll see you in the next video, and if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, click the subscribe button. If you want to get certified as a safe Scrum Master, reach out to me. I'm going to be dropping my number on the link below. Reach out to me. If you want to be part of my mastermind group, watch me coach you through all the steps of your interview, join me. Just send me a message. I'm interested in some coaching, and I'll be able to tell you the next step. I'll see you in the next video.